Hello friend, this is Amit. Today I am going to explain about the primary key. So we already many places we utilize the primary key concept. So any table, when we create any table and if we want to map with one table to another table, we need some unique number. For example, a customer have an account number. So customer related information may store into the some other table, and account related information may store on the other table. So uniquely identify a customer table, we have some unique number that we call primary key, and that primary key, through that it will be mapped with some another table that is a customer related information. So they also have some unique key. So that unique key and that first customer table unique key and then account table unique key, both through that we can identify this customer, that information available in the customer will be related to particular address, that information is available in address key. So unique column, and through that we can identify two different tables that will be called the primary key. Even simple primary key means even the sum table that is a unique number of identification, we can directly say that is a primary key. For a very easiest example for that, whenever for example our Aadhaar identification, so Aadhaar identification have some unique number, that Aadhaar ID or something. Through that we Aadhaar identification map with all the information related to particular person. So Aadhaar identification is a unique, and that unique value, through that it will be mapped with some other value. For example, maybe in one city many people is staying that have more than 1 lakhs may have Aadhaar, or 2 lakhs may have Aadhaar, but Aadhaar identification is must be unique. So many places when we created a project, or when we went through that any program, we created that much program and we just check that any of the program, so we have a primary key generation thing here. So either we will use a Hibernate mapping through, or we will use a Hibernate annotation. We always use some primary key generation, that generator class increment. So we always used increment algorithm to generate a primary key. This is a core, and we will check the annotation also. So here we map under the entity class itself. So like a student, we have primary key generation algorithm. So here, generated value strategy, generated type equal to auto. So here we just generated like a sequential value 1 2 3 4 5 6 and it will be add, but sometime we have to generate the value in some sequence. For example, Aadhaar card, we see that some sequence is there, or for example pin code, that number must be 6 digit, or the mobile number, that number must be some 10 digit, or our ID number like TCS ID number, that must start with the TCS kind of thing. So some specific thing if we want to create, then we could not directly use generator type dot auto, or we have some other unique number also through that generate. So what exactly we are going to learn here? So here either we can utilize Hibernate provided primary key, either other than that we can generate our primary key algorithm. So we will see here how we can utilize other than that increment primary key generation algorithm, as well as we will create our primary key generation algorithm, and through that we can create a primary key. Before of that, we just try to explain about what exact the primary key and why it's required. So our database key in the attribute or set of an attribute which help you to identify a row, means anything, just like an example of Aadhaar. So Aadhaar have a multiple thing like address, like phone number, like email ID, and many thing is there. So maybe address, city name, or village name, maybe 5 or 6 people have the same, but Aadhaar must be the identical. So Aadhaar must have unique value, and a data DBMS key is attribute or set of attribute which help you to identify a row in a relationship. They allow you to find a relationship between a two tables that help you uniquely identify a row in a table by combination of one or more column of the table. So single primary key we already understand that one row that have a single primary key. Sometimes single primary key is single thing is not enough for primary key, and after that we will combine two or three things, through that we can make the primary key. For example, we have one customer, that customer city is there, customer pin code is there, and customer name is there. So uniquely customer name, maybe many customer is there, and we cannot say that this is a primary key. But when we combine with the village name and customer name, maybe the some chances is there it will be less, but maybe still chances is there, maybe two or three customer will be we will found that name and village are same. So the next thing we can what we will do, so we will start we will combine with the phone number also, or email ID also, or maybe the pin code also. So three column pin code, village name and particular customer name we can merge, and we can say that yeah, this for all three column if uniquely, then that will be unique primary key. So this type of combination will be called composite primary key. So either we have the simple primary key that will be a single column, either we can make the particular 2-3 column, combine that, and after that we can say that this is a composite primary key. So but main aim is there that primary key must be the unique, and through that we can identify the value exactly, means this row value, if something is mapped with the other table, then through that we can identify yes, this row value is mapped with the second table and both value is the same person, same customer. For example, we have a employee ID, that first name and last name. So that particular, and after that employee ID map with the account. So first name and last name, through that we cannot map the second table that have a employee account related information. Here what we will do, we will map with employee ID. So employee ID is a unique for all the employees. So even account information is there for employee, we will add that account ID also there. And where the employee related information, where employee ID first name and last name is there, we will add employee ID here also. So through that, if some account number or some account detail we want, we just check that the employee table, that employee ID is 12 or 22, that the same information we will get from the account table which employee ID is 22. So that example what I given, that employee ID is a primary key because it is a uniquely identify an employee record in the table. No other employee can have the same ID. So we have to find, that is only one thing is there, that we have to focus two things if we want to make any ID as a primary key. First thing, that primary key never be null, must we have to enter something inside that, through that we can identify the particular value. The second important thing is that primary key must be unique. So we cannot assign two employee here for same employee ID, because through employee ID we are identifying the particular employee. Yes, this employee, that name is Amit or that name is Sumit, that employee ID is 102 or 1003. So we can map like that. For example, we want to check the account information, we want to check shift information of particular employee, so we can check the shift employee ID, will take that and we will check it. So here the reason of using a key in the database system is, key help you to identify any row of data in the table. In the real world application, a table could contain thousands of records. For just take the example, if more than 3 lakhs employee working in the TCS, if we don't have a unique identification, how we can identify the person? So this is just a small example. If you want to find out the big example also, every Indian citizenship or UK citizenship, they have some unique identification. Like in India we have the Aadhaar cards, so Aadhaar number is a very unique. So multiple record stored in the database related to Aadhaar card. So if we want to fetch it like that, we will search the name whose name is Amit, we want Aadhaar card of that. So when we will pass that query, maybe thousands or maybe lakhs of Amit will become with the record. So when we will find exactly which Amit we want that record, so it will be easy if they have some unique ID. Through that we can pass that ID, and it must be the only one record will be returned. So no confusion is there, that only that Amit, that ID is that particular ID that we want all the information. Because of that only identification is required. So key help you to identify any row of data in a table. In the real world application, a table could contain thousands of records. Moreover, the record could be a duplicate. Key ensure that you can uniquely identify a table records, and we can get the exact data that we required. The next thing is that allow you to establish a relationship between and identify relationship between the two tables. Here the same thing is that if Indian government have some scheme like that, they want to give some money to farmers, or monthly they want to send 2000 rupees some farmers. So how we can map that? We have a Aadhaar card and we have a farmer related information in some other table. So and their account number is also there. So how we can map Aadhaar card related to particular farmer related information? So if both table have Aadhaar card ID, through that we can map the information. Yes, the person whose name is Amit, and yes, whose account number is 00123 kind of thing, and he means both Aadhaar card will be stored into the both the table, and through that we will relate it. So what primary key will help you? They allow you to establish a relationship between two tables and identify the relationship between tables. And other thing is that help you to enforce identity and integrate the relationship. That is also very good thing. So other than that, DBMS has following different kind of key. Like a primary key, very different kind of also key is there, like a super key, primary key, candidate key, alternative key, foreign key, compound key, composite key, many kind of thing is there. But here we have to read two things. We will read about primary key and we will read about composite key. What is a composite key and what is a primary key, and how Hibernate is utilizing both the key in the code as well as in the annotation. So primary key I already explained about that, a column of group or column in a table which help us to identify particular identifier. Every row in the table is called a primary key. This DBMS cannot be a duplicate and cannot be a null, that I already explained about that. The same value cannot be appear more than one in the table. That main rule is there, two row cannot have the same primary key. First thing, the most of every row to have a primary key value. The primary key field cannot be null. The primary key value cannot be null. The value in the primary key column can never be modified or update in any foreign key reference of the primary key. So once, like it is a final kind of thing, we not going to change that primary key, because maybe this, for example, we have a 4 or 5 mapping is there. So we just change that first table primary key, then what happened this other 4 tables, and how it will be find the particular data, because both are the attached with the primary key. So this thing, this main rule is there, that two row cannot have the same primary key. The primary key field cannot be null. The value in the primary key column can never be modified or update if any foreign key reference to that primary key. And sequentially we can create a composite key also. In between that, you just little bit get the idea about what is a foreign key. So a foreign key is a column which is added to create a relationship with another table. Foreign key help us to maintain data integrity and also allow so if the table has a primary key, then in a Hibernate mapping file we need to configure that column by using a ID element, right? Even the database table doesn't have any primary key, we must configure one column as a ID. One primary key must be there. If the database table has more than one column as a primary key, then we call it composite primary key. So if one column it's not enough to identify, or it's not enough to mark as identification of that column or unique of that table, then we can combine more than one column and together we can say that this is a primary key. So this kind of primary key will be called a composite primary key. So if the table has multiple primary key column, in the order to configure those primary key column in the Hibernate mapping file, we have to use one new element that called composite ID primary key. So here we have Hibernate have configured both the type of primary key, simple primary key as well as composite primary key. So we will see that how we can map, how we'll create a table by using a simple primary key, as well as we will see that how we'll create a composite primary key. So here simple primary key generation, we are using a till now we use a increment or auto generation type. So we'll see that different algorithm that provided by Hibernate runtime system or Hibernate, how we can utilize other primary key that will be provided by Hibernate algorithm. And here we will check that how we can configure our composite primary key. So Hibernate provided various different kind of algorithm, through that we can generate our primary key automatically. But main thing is that inside the generator, this is used to generate a unique identifier for that generating a particular identifier, or we can say that primary key. If any parameter or required to configure or initialize to generator instance, they are passed using a particular param, and through that we can generate a particular algorithm, that primary key. So we will see that how different kind of primary key provided by Hibernate here, and how we can move and how we will utilize that other primary key, and we can generate our table, or how we will map the particular 2 or 3 table using a particular primary key. So we have a multiple primary key here, like on the screen you are seeing that few primary keys here. We will see that few primary key by generating a core Hibernate core application, as well as we will generate a primary key using annotations, and after that we will create a composite primary key also, and we will check that how the primary key will generate it. Even sometime that primary key is not enough to or not fit for our application. For example, that Aadhaar unique identification, they have some other parameters, and they are generating some Aadhaar related primary key that have a start with something and end with something. So this kind of unique identification Hibernate is not provided. If you want to generate a primary key according to our application requirement or our functionality requirement, then we have to write our algorithm to generate a primary key, and after that we can utilize our algorithm in our application, and automatically that primary key will be generated, and whenever the requirement will become, that will be a call to that particular id generator, and through that it will be generate a primary key. So all the generator implement the interface org.hibernate.id.identifier generator. So this main thing is that even we can utilize increment, hello, sequence hello, uid, guid, identity, native, assigned or select, or any identification. Even we can write our primary key generation algorithm, but main thing is that all are the subclass or all are the concurrent subclass of identifier generator interface that is available in org.hibernate.id package. So all generators implement the identifier org.hibernate.id.identifier generator. This is a very simple interface. Some application may choose to provide their own specialization implementation. However, Hibernate provide a range of built-in implement for primary key generation. So increment we always use, as I explained that, and we will go that code and we will see that here we are using a automatically generated that increment algorithm. Here std equal to auto, and we'll see inside that core application, any core application. So always we are using a id generator that is available in HBM classes. So here we are using always increment. So what increment is doing here, increment generates the identifier of type long, short or int is that are unique only when no other process is inserting the data into the same table. Do not use in the cluster. Here they can generate type long, short or int. Here like this id generator sid, so how it will be decided, it is a type of int or long or short. Through that we can provide here type, and particular id generator will be generated. The same means other than id generator we can utilize that HILO, sequence HILO, uid, guid, identity, native, assigned, select. So what exactly this id generator is there. So using an increment that I already show you, that here we can use id after the name column, that sid, and type here we can provide it because it is a type long, short or int is supporting. So according of that type we will provide here, and it will be generate particular type of incremental order. So whenever we using a cluster environment kind of thing, we cannot utilize it because this is will be generate a single means only one time modifying of the table, and one by one id will be increased. Other than that, next is uuid. So here we will provide a generator type is equal to uuid. So what uuid is providing, so that uid we will want to generate, then we'll just write id name sid column equal to sid, and generator class is equal to uuid. So uuid is also provided by Hibernate, and we have to just utilize that uuid and it will be generate. So whenever the uuid will be generated, it is a huge 128-bit uuid algorithm to generate identifier of type a string. Type is a must be a string and unique within a network. So how within the network it is using that IP address is used. Even if you run the localhost application, then localhost IP address is 127.0.0.1. So if you not run in the localhost, if you run some server, then that will be take particular IP address, and after that UID is encode as a string of the hexadecimal digital to length 32. So it have inbuilt generation algorithm to utilize IP address and identify a type of the particular string, and after that it will be convert some hexadecimal digit, and after that it will be utilized. Next is a sequence. So we will provide some sequence like that. We want to start with TCS and after that 1 2 3 4 5 6 kind of thing. So if this kind of algorithm we would like to generate, then we can write like that: id name sid column equal to sid, and after that generator class we will provide a sequence, and after that from here we will provide what exact sequence you want, like sid sequence, or we would like to start with TCS underscore and after that something, or something like IRCTC, or we will start with PNR. So anything, if sequence you want to generate like something, then it will be like that. So what exactly it is using a sequence in DB2 we can utilize, and Oracle we can use, SAP DB we can use. So we can utilize this sequence in different kind of DB also. So generator is a interfaces, and the required identifier is of type of long, short and int. The next is a HILO. So how we are generating HILO? So we have to provide id name equal to CID, column is equal to CID, type equal to some ID, and after that we have to provide a generator. So here table, some name you have to provide, so that will be utilized during a id generator, and after the column, so next value will provide, and max parameter you have to provide something. So when using a HILO algorithm to efficiently generate identifier of type long, short or int, give a table and column. By default hibernate unique key and next hibernate respectively as a source of HI value. The HILO algorithm generate identifier that are unique only for a particular database. So we can generate this kind of HILO also. You just try that, just change increment to HILO, put this code and see that table how it is generating. The next is a sequence hilo. That is the same kind of thing here. That is a combination of sequence and hilo. So what they are using, we have to provide some sequence here, and max value we will provide, and that will be utilized sequence and hilo both concept. So here using a HILO algorithm to effectively generate identifier of type long, short, int and give name database sequence also. So we have to provide some kind of sequence also. The next algorithm, we can create a other algorithm also, like we can create GUID, we can create native, we can create assigned, we can create select, we can create foreign, and many more algorithm is there, but main algorithm is this one. We can utilize many places. So like a GUID, that use a database generator. GUID store MySQL server and MySQL, MS SQL and MySQL. So we can utilize GUID here, and native picks the identify sequence or HILO algorithm depending upon the capability of the particular database. According of that, it will be a pick some identity or sequence or HILO, and that will be generate. So native, if you don't know the what database and exactly what thing is supported, so we can utilize it, and that will be check that particular database will support identity or it supports sequence or HILO, and according of that which will with database will support, that can automatically take. So other thing is assign. So the application to assign the identifier to object before save is called that assigned primary key. This is the default strategy of no generator element to specify. So also check how the assigned is using. Just change that id generator type equal to assign and check that how the table is changing. So next is a select. So retrieve a primary key assigned by a database that trigger by selecting the row by same unique key and retrieving the primary key value. So many more primary keys here. So main thing is there, primary key we have to focus only two things, that primary key must be unique, the primary key cannot be null. So we can utilize any generator identity, inbuilt identity, as well as we can create our custom identifier generator. But main thing is there, either we can utilize a custom primary key generator, either we can utilize a inbuilt algorithm, but all identifier generator must be the subclass of identifier generator that is available in org.hibernate org.hibernate.identifier generator, and there we can create. So we will see that in programming how we can generate a primary key using a core as well as using a Hibernate. So here I have the few program that will be make very easy to understanding that primary key behavior. After that we will create algorithm for a composite primary key, and I will show you that how we can make a composite primary key, how we will create a multiple column and mark as a primary key, so it will automatically become a composite primary key. So I have one Hibernate primary key here, that is a UID, and after that we will check that HILO, and we have annotation based also. So for example we have a SID, this one. We have a mapping here. So here we are using a composite ID for composite primary key. We'll see that how we can mark a composite primary key, but now we try to understand about how the UID will generate it and how HILO will generate it. The same thing you have to convert this code, like if you want increment, so increment we already use, like id, name, sid, column, sid, int type, this thing. Either you can change sort or different supported by incremental. Also UID, sequence, HILO and sequence HILO, many thing is there. Also GUID, native, assigned, select, and this kind of any algorithm you can utilize. The few algorithm we will check that how it is generating, and we will generate one custom ID generator also, and we will generate our primary key. But here we will go through that UID and HILO. So first we see that HILO how we can configure, and this HILO we are going to configure with the core. So here we are going to utilize that UID. Just we have to change UID. Before that we are using here incremental, so no change, no other than nothing changes is here, only generator class equal to UID, and after that it will be automatically generate. Here what exactly we are going to do, here we have request a table that map under the com.visualpath.hibernate, and request table have many things, like have a version, CID, message and request date, CID, message and request date, and after that ID we going to generate. So where it will be a store, it will be a store under the table name request. So we'll request test. So we're going to generate under the request test, and it will be under the visual path database. So we'll run it and we will check that how it is generating. So we have only one data right now. So yes, it is generated and it is stored. We see that how ID this one session.save request, and we see that it is a saved st. And quickly we will go to the database and we will check that. So we have customer request test, this table. Select the star from request test. Spelling mistake. Request s test. So it is generated as some request ID like a UID. So actually UID will be generated to means how the what the current time is there and what the particular running IP address is there. They can make the combination and that will convert to the hexadecimal number. So we are able to see that hexadecimal number. If we write increment here, we will see that same table how it is changing. So we no need to do anything, just here we will go like that UID what we are writing, we will just add increment. So increment is there and we will run the same program as it is and we will check that same table what the primary key is there. So something could not fetch initial value for increment generator. Something is missing. So always we are using increment. Okay, type equal to, and this thing we have to change. So that parameter is different. This parameter is different. That thing we have to here name column type equal to a string, and a string is not provided by increment. So we have to pass either int, long or short. I hope now it will work. Like that. Yeah. So what exact exception we got if we add a string? Could not fetch initial value of increment generator. Select max request ID request test. So some where it problem. Again it have some problem. Could not fetch initial value for increment generator. So we'll check that exception what exactly we are getting. So yeah, it is clear here when it's that particular algorithm try to call that get long method and it is returning some this kind of value that is under the string, but it is a get long, so that type mismatch. So here increment is supporting only string, and we try to add here as a integer. So here itself request id, that is a primary key be added as a string here, and we try to access here the HPM like a integer. So type mismatch is here, so we have to convert into this one also like a string or integer. So we would like to change some particular parameter or something, then we can refactor it. So after that here refactor is there, refactor, move, it's not a selected particular string, refactor is not working right now. Okay, we will check it as a int, we'll make it as int, but if we cannot do refactor, then we have to do lot of things changing here. We have to do like a int, after that we have to put int also here, so through that it will return, and now we can run it. But again problem is there, again they try to get log and they will get the particular value, because already our table have one value. So first it run and we'll check that what exact exception is coming. Again the get log, they're getting the value, so better we will change that table name. Now they will create a fresh table, test1. So now problem is that when we are doing some session operation, either load, delete or save, then it return the particular primary key value. Through that we can identify exact what the value is here. So see here what the exception is coming now. java.lang.integer cannot be cast java.lang.string, and it is a pointing lab 36 client Java, and that is a 22 line number. So 22 line number, what we are doing when we are doing a session.save, it is returning a sub integer value, because now we change to HILO to increment, and we try to save that value inside that string. So but right now it is not a string, right now it will be converted to int. So you no need to type cost. And now we can run. I think it will be this time it will be run successfully. Yeah, and now value it is coming 1. And what we have changed here table, I think, yeah, request test 1. So we have select star from, or we already have it, just paste 1. So now just see that before we used UID, so how that primary key is generated, and now we change that and we use increment, and that is generated like that. So this thing is that many primary keys there, we can generate our algorithm and we can utilize it like UID, how it is generating. So according to the fit our application, we can decide any primary key and we can choose some primary key. Most of the company now using a UID kind of thing, because that is a bug free, and that very less chances only that two primary key will generated, means they may not have unique, or that primary key generated by the UID may be the two primary key match each other. Other than that, we can use a sequence also. If we want to start with something like some naming convention that start with TCS or PNR or Aadhaar number, so we can use a sequence. So sequence hilo combination also we can use. Here we will see that how we are using a hilo algorithm. So hilo algorithm we will check here how it is mapped. So as it is this configuration, we will not going to explain one more time. So just we will check that here configuration. So hilo we have to register like that I already explained here. Hilo we have to configure like that. So here the same thing, ID start with name CID, column what column name you want to provide, and here we are going to generate an integer. So hilo type, we can generate a different kind of type also, so that what type exactly want to generate it will be provided here. And after that, generator class HILO algorithm that we will provide here, and after that parameter here we have to provide table, that HI value underscore, after that we have to provide column, that next value, and max value we have to provide. So how it is generating that we can see. The table name is my customer, we'll check that my customer how it is generating. So customer information is there, nothing changes, and the same thing. So we'll run here. You will see that it generate ID like that 11 or something. So it start with after 10 only, and it will give some number. So according of that we will generate a HILO. Other than we can configure any of that what I already given here. Other than you can utilize more than 2025 algorithm that provided by a Hibernate, and that algorithm, even it's not sufficient, we can write our primary key generation algorithm that I am going to explain about that. So increment we always use, so we will utilize this code. UID for this one, sequence we can utilize like that. HILO we can utilize that, sequence hilo combination we can utilize that. Other than GUID, native, assigned, select, this we can utilize. And the same thing how we are using in the annotation part also. So we'll going to close all the, and we'll see that same primary key generation how we can utilize in annotation, or we will see that primary key generation how we will use in Hibernate annotation. So other than inbuilt primary key, we can generate our primary key also. So as it is code here, so we just write like a SID generator here. What we will do here, we just want to some primary key that will be start like that, visual path 001, or it is a 3-digit number. So it will start, if 1 is there, then up to 9 it will be like that, and when it will be start 10 it will become like 10, and when it's become 3-digit it will become like that. So we just want to start with visual path, and after that underscore and the value start with 1, and it will be go to the up to 3-digit, that primary key we going to write. So what we are doing, session factory, we will getting this session and all, and here we are getting all the student, and we will check that what the primary key is started. So here we will pass that session dot create query HQL, this query we are going to pass, and that query related thing I will explain in the other video also, how we can utilize. So here we are using a HQL kind of thing. So query.session.create, and we will just pass HQL here, through that it will be generated. And here we have a if condition, if not 0 kind of thing, then we can utilize this logic. And after that it means we just want to create some like that visual path 001, and we will check here if already 9 digit, then we will start deleting 10 and we will put it 2 digit here. So it will be feel like the complete 3 digit value, even it is a 1, even it is a 10, or even it is a 100. So like that, if it is less than 1, then we will put the particular value here. We will get the %, here convert, and we will increment that value. That value we will check in the database what the maximum value is there, and after that we will increment, and the value is less than 9, then we will do like that operation. If it is less than 99, then we will do this operation, and if it like 999, then we will do that operation, and we will return that SID. What SID will be generated, it's returned. So here we have wrote this just logic that will be check the database, that will be get the highest primary key there, and after that we will go through that value, will just increment that value, and after that we will add this under that primary key. That very simple logic I added here, and after that we will utilize that ID generator under the mapping part. So our mapping is under the student. So a student we will map it in ID generator. So we have ID, we will utilize that column equal to SID. And here we are not going to automatically going to generate that ID generator that we are writing automatically. We are not going to do automatically. We just add ID and column name equal to SID. Auto generation is break, and we will generate through that. We will call this when we will call this constructor, particular student class constructor, we will pass SID also. So generally when we are doing the automatically generation, we are not passing that primary key generation here. So but here we will create a ID generation also. So we will use that SID generator class to generate a ID. We will go through that. We will fetch all the record, and we will check that what is the highest value is there. After that we will insert this logic to convert into the particular value into this format, and here we will directly create this thing. We will get next ID, and after that SID will pass here, and after that save. So here we are not doing the automatically, we will just as primary key also we will generate. We will write some algorithm to generate a primary key, and we will utilize that here. We will pass that primary key also in the particular constructor, and what the complete object will become, we will save it, or we will do that particular hibernate operation. So through that we can generate our primary key also. So here table name is, so our table name is my student 3. So we will just run it, and we will check that its ID is generating the or not. Yeah, so it is generated like visual path 001, because this is the first value that we are saved. So we will save it again. So again save, we have what we have to do here, create, we have to do update. Now it will be value will update. So we'll, when we do this operation, it will update the value. So some exception is there, duplicate key will come. I try to enter the same value because Okay, so without updating, what we will do, we will save one more value. Yeah, because what thing is happen here, so whenever we'll call this one SID, we have to change that SID. We have to get the connection transaction dot session dot begin transaction, and we have to do this operation again. So SID equal to this one, that SID we have to pass. So actually problem is here because we are calling only one time SID generator dot get next SID, and after that we are using the same SID in both the places. So we cannot, if some primary key on the table, we cannot add that primary key in the some other than same value, because it will be unique. It is a mark as a primary key because we added here the @ID. So this value is a primary key, so we cannot add the duplicate value. So later what we will do here, we will create one SID1 here and that algorithm, and we will mark that SID1 here. We will put SID1. Actually when we will go through that loop or something, we will pass, or we will create one method and we will pass that SID, that time it will work, because here that always call into this particular method and it will get some new. So now if we run this application, so again it is a failing to generate a primary key, that is generating a same primary key. So again that algorithm have some problem to generate. We will check that logic. Right now what that will be returned, we will just increase this one and just try to put that. So now it is a fine. So through that I just try to explain that what the primary key we are doing before of that automatically generation, and we can utilizing that primary key. But here be that automatically generation we will remove, even we can call that primary key inside that constructor itself. When we writing that constructor, before of that primary key we are not adding, but here we added the primary key, and we will try to create this primary key logic ourselves here through the ID generator. What we will do, we will go to the table and we will check that means how much, if sequential is there, then what is the highest value is there, and after that we will add into the some parameter like a visual path underscore or something. Through that we can write the logic and we can achieve this one. So same primary key generation algorithm we can do in the core also. So we'll see that Hibernate primary key generation algorithm what we are doing here. So we have a SID generator here. So we are using a almost same logic here. If 0, 0, 1 or something is there, then we will utilize, and we will checking this table, and after that we will checking what the highest value is there, and after that we are, so we can write any primary key ID generation algorithm and we can utilize it. And we have a SID here that must be serialized. And this is also example of composite primary key, because we are using both BID and SID. We will make like a one single object and we will make like a primary key. So whenever we try to utilize a primary key, we will composite primary key will mark as a 2 value as a primary key, and other thing is that primary key must be the serializable. And here mapping will check that if we want composite primary key. So first what exactly we have to do, we have to create one class that we going to make a primary key, and here we will add the multiple thing, that multiple column want to make a composite primary key. So composite primary key is a combination of multiple primary key, or 2 or 3 column make and mark as a primary key. This kind of thing will be called a composite primary key. And when we will generate a primary key or means want primary key, that must be implemented serializable. So we have a BID SID here, and here we will generate through the constructor and it implement a serializable thing. And here what we will do, here the same logic, it's nothing, just primary key generation logic that I already see the before. And here we have to just understand, if we want mark means register as a composite primary key, we have to add composite ID here, and after that name of the particular where we want to means which table we have to apply, and all the key that we register here in SID we want as a primary key, that we have to register here key like a key property, name, column and type, all things. So it will become a primary composite primary key, and when we will run it we can check that 2 table become a composite primary key. So yes, it is running, and it is running successfully. That 2 BID and SID will mark as a composite primary key. So through that we can achieve a primary key logic. So now we can understand that a primary key generation algorithm, as well as we can see that how we can create a composite primary key. The next program I will explain that how we can generate our algorithm through that annotation based as well as core based. I already explained one example, through that we are generating our primary key algorithm in a annotation way, and next example I will show that how we can create a primary key through XML based configuration. And after that we will move into the next programming, and we will create a composite primary key that I already see. I will show you some other example also to generate a composite primary key. So through that annotation we can generate in this way. Yes. So primary key and composite key, it will take 30 more minutes to understand deeply about this. Till now just practice about that algorithm that I already mentioned, and that code is showing here. Just utilize the same code and generate a primary key, and just try to create your logic and generate through the constructor. There you also pass the primary key, and you will that will utilize your logic to generate a primary key. Just fetch the data for the table and check that unique thing there, and after that utilize your logic to generate a primary key, and you will utilize that parameterized constructor, and through that you can build the primary key also. The next 30 minutes I think it will be take to explain about that generator ID generator interface. Through that ID generator implement how we can implement and generate a primary key. Till now thanks for watching this video, and yeah, 30-minute more video will be come for the understanding the primary key and composite primary key thing.